Yesterday or in the last class, I gave you one problem to find the prime numbers, write a code to find the prime numbers. So today, before I start doing this one, let me know who has completed this code to find the prime numbers. Okay. So can you print your code here? Okay. Okay. So now, before we write down that function, I'll show you. Yeah, that's correct. Before I write, I will show you my method of how I will do. Before we, only one person has done this project or the coding, and I gave it to all the people, but all seems to be lazy to do that. So before we see what is the prime number or what is how to write the prime number code, we'll see what is exactly the prime number. So yeah, I will check that. I will check uh, once I'm done with I will show my code. I will check your code also. Give me some time. So when the number has more than two factors, it is called the composite number. So generally here is the right definition. A prime number is a natural number greater than 1 that has no positive divisor other than 1 and itself. So for example, 5 is a prime number because 1 and 5 are its only positive integers factors. So the number which can be divisible by itself or 1 is a prime number. So 5 can only be divisible by itself and 1. So 5 is a prime number. But if I pass the 6 can be divided by 1, 6, 2, and 3. So since it can be divided by more than two numbers, including 1 and 6, therefore it is not the prime number. Prime number can only be divisible by the 1 and 5. So this is the definition of the prime number. Based on this definition, we will write the code of the prime number. So let's start with this one. These are the simple problems, but we will do daily. Initially, we'll do very simple problems. Later on, I will change it to complex problems so that you should have the habit of doing simple and gradually it should go to the complex. So you will be comfortable in doing the complex project also. So let's start with the function. I will create a function called as is prime, and this function will check if the number is prime or not. And I will pass any number, for example, NUM. Now, now let's say if I'm passing 20, I have to go through all the numbers to see whether it is divisible by any other number or not. So I will divide 20 by 19, for example, or 2. I will divide 20 by 3. I will divide 20 by 4. And if it is divisible by any of the number, then it is not a prime number. It should not be divisible by any of the number. It should only be divisible by 20 or 1. Since we will not consider 1, we will start from 2 because we know that everyone is divisible by 1. So we will not take the case of 1. We will start with the 2 and we will try to divide 20 by 2. And since it is divisible, that is remainder is coming as 0. So that means 20 is not a prime number. So how we have to do manually, what will be the procedure? Let's say if I'm passing 20, whenever you get a problem, try to do it manually first, and then we will write the code for it. So let's say if I'm passing 20, I will start with, or I will pass, for example, 11. So what I will do first, I will do 11 divided by 2. Is remainder coming 0? No. Therefore, I will go further now. 11 divided by 3. Is remainder coming 0? No. That means uh, it is not divisible by 3. Then I'll go further. 11 divided by 4. Again, I'll go further. 11 divided by 5. Remainder is not 0. That means it is not divisible by 5. I will go further. 11 divided by 6. 11 divided by 7. Like this, I will go till 11 divided by 11. If it is divisible by 11, any number is divisible by itself. So I will go till number 10. 11 divided by 10. Is it remainder coming 0? No. Since in all the cases remainder is not coming 0, therefore 11 is prime number. I will not take 11 upon 11 because 11 upon 11 is divisible and I don't want to take that case. So I will start with the 2 number till the number less than 1 which we are testing it. So if I want to write in the code, I will start with for var I equal to 2 I less than number. So if I'm passing here 11, so I should be less than 11 because if I pass 11, it's divisible by 11 anyhow. So it should not be divisible by any other number except its own, and I'm not checking the own number. So we have to check the one number less than the number which we are passing. And I will say I plus plus. So I will go through all the numbers, and if remainder is 0, then I will return false. So this will return either true or false. If everything is fine, then I will return true. In the end, I will return true. And if anything is not a prime number, I will return false here. Now, how to check if it is divisible by the number, or how to check if the remainder is 0 or not? I will use the modulus operators, that is, if number percentage I. So this is the mod operator, and it will check if number, that is the number is 11, for example number is 11, divide by I equal to 2, that is 11 divided by 2, and it will give the remainder. If remainder is 0, that means it is divisible by that number, and if remainder is not 0, then it is not divisible by 0. So if I'll say number percent I is equal to 0, if it is coming 0, that means it is divisible by that number, and if it is divisible by any number, then we will return false. So what number I am passing? I am passing 11, and I am dividing with 2, and if the remainder is coming 0, that means num percent I will be 0. So here we are testing the remainder criteria. One second. So this is a criteria to test the remainder. If the number is divided by this I and remainder is coming 0, then we will say this is divisible by that number, and so it is not prime. So I'm returning the false. And if it is not coming 0 in all the cases, then we are out of the loop and it is prime number. So we will say it is prime number. So we will check this condition for few numbers. So I will check, for example, I'll do console.log is prime. First I will check with the number 2, whether 2 is prime or not. So I'll go here and I'll pass the developer tools. So it is true. That means it is prime. And if I pass the 6th number, Since 6 is divided by 2 and 3, so it should be false. So it's saying false. So this is the function to do the prime number. This is a simple function, simple code. And now I will check with the Sapandra's function and Sindhu's function. Let's see. So first one is Sapandra's is prime. It's passing n equal to 1. So it's correct. It is additional check. If n equal to 1, it's neither prime nor composite. And it's going to the count 0, I equal to 1, I equal to less than equal to n, I plus plus. If I percent n% I equal to 0, that means it is divisible. So we are making count plus. And if saying count is 2, it's prime. Since it is starting with the 1 and n, so the count will be 2. So this is also correct. And if count is not 2, so it's not prime. So same thing in this case, she's checking with the, but I will not be 1 because 1, okay, yeah, if it is greater than 1, we are testing with I, so it is correct. So it will be count equal to 2 if it is prime number because it will be divisible by itself and with the I, with the 1. So this is correct. And let's check the Sindhu's one. Starting with the temp equal to 2, temp equal to less than equal to square root of the number. Temp plus plus. If percent equal to 0, return false. I need to check this one. Let's try to check this one. Okay, so I will check this one, this function, if it is working correctly. So for example, I will pass the number. Let's pass the number. I have the number called as. Let's pass some number. Let me see the list of prime numbers. Okay, I will pass the number 37. Let's try this one. So it is coming true. And if I pass number 12, it's coming false. Okay, so the result is coming correctly. So it's fine. I need to exactly see if this, this may work. Yeah, since it's working, it's fine. There are a number of ways to do the particular problem. Whatever way you feel is correct, you can write that one. The one which I did is something which I like and is according to my taste. I use this one, and both of them have done little differently, and both is correct. There may be few more methods to do the same problem, so you can use any method, whatever you like. I will just give you my method in the chat if you want to use my method. Otherwise, you can use whatever you have done it. Now let's move to the further in our course. So before I move, I will just give you another problem for Wednesday. Next class is on the Wednesday. So I will give you the problem which you have to do on Wednesday. So the problem is called the first non-repeat character. For example, I will give you the one string. So for example, I will give you this string. This is a string. The quick brown fox jumps, then quickly blow air. Now, if you see, F is the letter which comes only the one time. It is not repeated. It has come only one time. And it is the first one. There may be other letters also which are appearing only the first time, but I have to return the first non-repeat character. So for example, F is non-repeating and it is the first one. For example, T is repeating, H is repeating, E is repeating, Q is repeating, B is repeating, all are repeated, but F is not repeated and it is the first one which is not repeated. You have to find which one is the first non-repeating character. So if I give this string, you have to return F kind of thing. So you have to return F. So this is the one which you have to do as a next coding exercise. And I will show you my method on Wednesday, how I will do it. Okay, so this one was for the exercise which you have to practice at home. Let's move our where we left in the last lesson. So we were doing the functions and we started with one of the function called as the invoke and add. So let's say I have a function and its function is called as, for example, invoke. Just say invoke. And I will pass two variables in it. And these two parameters are nothing but other functions. They are the functions. So I can return them as A as a function plus B as a function. Now, if I want to use this one, I will create, let's say, for example, two functions. For example, 1, and I will return 1 for the 1 function, and I will create another 2 function, and I will return 2 as a value of the 2 function. Now I will call this function invoke. So I will say var result is equal to invoke, and now instead of A, I will pass the 1. I will not pass 1 as a function call. I will just pass 1 and then I will pass 2. So if I pass 1, this 1 function will go as a string in the first parameter and then it will invoke that function. So it will return 1 for the 1 and for the B it will return 2. So I will see that what will be the result. So let's check the result. So result is 3. So you tell me what will happen if I pass instead of 1, I will invoke the 1. Either the result will come correctly or not. Yeah, so it will not come correctly because 1 will directly give me the result of 1 and it will go as a 1 here and function of the 1 is not really there. So I cannot say 1 and bracket start and close because this means that I am invoking the function immediately. But in this example, I want to just pass the function and that function will be invoked later on in this invoke function. So I cannot say 1 and we can start the round bracket here. I have to just pass the 1. So 1 will go as a string here and it will invoke it here whenever it is called. Now, instead of creating these two functions, I can also call the invoke as so either I can create one function 1 and function 2, or I can say here as a function as a without any name. See, this function is without any name. So I'm creating the function without any name and I'm returning 1. So this whole part except the name is passed here as a first parameter and without any name. And I will pass second parameter is also as a function and I'll return 2. And this second parameter is also passed as a function without any name. Let's see what is coming for this one. So answer is okay, S2. Let's copy this result 2. So result 2 is also coming 3. So when we pass this as a function, this is called as this is the callback function, or this is called as anonymous callback function. We are not giving name, so it is called anonymous function. So we are not giving name, so it is called anonymous function. We are passing one anonymous function and we are passing second anonymous function. But here it is not anonymous because we are giving the name of the function as a 1 and 2. This is only called one time because we don't have the name of this function. This is only called when generally there is a callback, or when we want to call the function only once, then we directly call the function here. We write the function here without really creating the function definition as seen by here this code. So this is something which you have to remember, that sometimes you have to call anonymous function, and they are useful when we don't want to give any name and we want to call it only once, and that's the reason that we call it anonymous function. Now we will see some of the callback functions in our example. So I'll create another file. Now we will be dealing with the callback functions. I'm just naming it as callback functions. So now how the callback functions are useful and what are really the callback functions? Consider one example. I will create a function and I will name it as multiply by 2, and I will pass some parameters inside it, a comma b comma c. And what I will do, I will loop through the for loop, and I'll say var I equal to 0, I less than, for example, 3. Since we are passing this 3, I am putting 3, and I'm saying I plus plus. And here, let's see what is the argument coming. Console.log will say I is I and value is argument I. So generally, this will go as argument 0, this will go as argument 1, and this will go as argument 2. So we should be able to see all the three values here in this value column. So let's try to call this function with some value. For example, 2, 4, 6. And I'll check that in the Chrome. So I is 0, I am passing 2, second time I am passing 4, third time I am passing 6. So what I will do some manipulation which I want. Let's say if I create one array, I will create one array var array equal to empty array, and I will say array of I is equal to arguments of I into 2, and then I will return this array. And here I will say var result is equal to multiply 2, and I will do console.log result is result. Now if I refresh, so you will see 2, 4, 6 I am passing, and for each number I am multiplying it with 2. So the ultimate array is saved with 4, 8 and 12. So whatever value is coming, it is multiplied by 2 here. So this is a simple function which will take the number and multiply by 2. Let's take another function, and this function is add 1 and I'll pass parameter A. And what this function does, this function just add one number to it. Now we have one function here and we have another function here. So for example, I want to call these both the functions on these three numbers. So I can do one thing. First I can call the first function, I get the result, and then what I can do, I can loop through this result. So for example, I will say for var I equal to 0, I less than 3, I plus plus, and then I will go through each of the results. So what result I was getting previously? 4, 8 and 12. So I will go through each of the result and I will say to call another function add 1 on the result. So I will say maybe I can create another array and I will say array 2 of I is equal to add 1, and I'm getting the result, whichever result I'm getting, I'm passing that result to add 1 and I'm saving it in another array. So I will say result 2 is array 2. What I did, I pass all the three values to this first function. I got one result which is an array, and then again I loop through this new result and I pass each result which was coming, that is 4, 8 and 12. I pass 4, 8 and 12 to add 1, and then I will get the result of 4 will give me 5 because it's 1 added, 8 will give me 9, 12 will give me 13. So the array result 2 will be 5, 9 and 13. So let's see. So the first array is giving 4, 8, 12 because I am passing from the first function which is multiplying each number. Then I'm passing each number to the second function, and then second function is adding the number to itself, to the each value which we are getting from the first result. Now here the problem is that we run the first loop here and then we run the second loop here. So it is actually time consuming. Generally in programming, we try to avoid the two loops and multiple loops. We try to reduce the loops. But here, because we have to pass through two functions, we have to go through the first loop here and then we have to go to the second loop here, and it makes our code more complex than it should be. Now with the help of the callback function, we will see how we can avoid this second loop. So let's try to do same thing but with the callback function, and we will avoid this second loop using the callback function. So let me save this as a 4.html. So now what I will do, I will remove the second loop, and here what I will do, I will pass one function called as callback. So I'm passing the parameter also, and I'm passing the callback function. So this is callback as a function, and these are simple numbers. And what I will do, I will call this callback function to each number each manipulation which we did in previously. So whatever manipulation we did, we will add this callback function and we will save the result here in the array. And now what we will do, now I will call additional parameter here with this second function. And this second function is really called as a callback function because this function is something goes as a callback function and it is used inside a callback function with the parameter which we got from the first result. And we will see now what is the result coming. Okay, let's go to 4.html. So as soon as I go to the 4.html, you will see I'm getting 5, 9, 13, which is the result 2 in the 3.html. We are getting directly this result here in the first case only. So we are trying to avoid the for loop here by using the callback function, and this callback function helps us to do the two jobs at one time. That is the first job which we were doing already, and we are doing another job of the callback. And this callback function is nothing but this add one function which we are processing to each value. So this way we are avoiding the two for loops and we are using only one for loop. This is only the one method of the callback. In reality, you will see lot more examples of the callback, and it is very helpful. The callback functions are very helpful. One of the practical case of the callback is like this. Many times you call the AJAX request on the server, and whenever with some parameters, and whenever the server return the result, you have to call some function. And since you have to call some function, whenever the server will result, you will call the callback function. And then whenever the server returns some data, you will call the callback function with that data. So this is a practical live example of the callback functions. And the example which we did is just a simple callback function to avoid the for loop couple of times. If I was not using the callback function, I have to use the for loop again and again second time. But with this method, we are avoiding the second time by calling the callback function. In the real life, it is called in the Ajax one when you call some parameters and you call the server, and when the server will return some data, and that data has to be processed with another function. So that function is nothing but this callback function. So when server will return some data, you will call this callback function, and data which is coming from the server is passed to this callback function. And then callback function will handle it by giving some message or processing or calling another AJAX request or do any other thing. So this is another example which we do in the callback function. So this is all for today. Tomorrow we will do self-invoking function. Not tomorrow, on Wednesday we will do self-invoking functions, and we will see when is self-invoking functions useful and how it is used, or how it is created, and when it is used, and when it is created. And also we will see the homework which I gave you, that is the one I pasted you. The homework is first non-repeat character. So this is the homework which you have to do by Wednesday. And if you are not able to do, or if you want to see how I will be doing the same problem, I will show you on Wednesday. The class will be on every Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday. The class timings are 10:30 to 11. I will send you the recording of this class after the class or tomorrow, whenever the recording is ready.